with just one day to go until Election Day, early voters across the Bay Area are coming out in record numbers. KPIX5's Devin Fehely is live outside a popular polling site in Fremont to begin our coverage. Devin?
Yeah, many voters that we spoke to say they didn't want to wait until Election Day. They say they didn't want to encounter any problems and not have time to resolve them, and so they made a final push today. At the county courthouse in Oakland, voters could drive up, drop off, or vote in person as the clock ticks down to Tuesday's election.
I felt that it would be more secure at this stage to drop the ballot off directly. I wanted to make sure that my vote was counted, and I felt that the Alameda County Courthouse, as the seat of the county, would probably be one of the most secure locations.
Kaylee Catano wasn't alone in wanting to make sure that her voice and her vote would count in this all-important election.
I'm just so worried about my vote counting, and I just had to make sure. This is too important for it not to count. Even though California, people say don't worry, we live in California, go out and vote.
Like many parts of the Bay Area, Alameda County has seen record numbers of mail-in ballots and early voting. The county has just under 1 million registered voters, and by the end of the weekend, roughly 600,000 had already turned in their ballots. And the big question is, what's the turnout going to be like on Election Day?
That's the $64,000 question, are these returns that we're seeing an indication that we're going to have a surge tomorrow? Or are we going to land on our average number which we've seen in past presidential elections?
In Alameda County, roughly 75 to 80% of registered voters have historically cast ballots in presidential elections, which means that tens and possibly hundreds of thousands of voters could still show up before the polls close on election night.
We can't have a democracy if we can't vote and be confident that we are going to have a voice in it. I'm glad to see that we've had such a huge turnout.
Devin, what are elections officials suggesting you do if you have not voted yet?
Well, first, California is a state that's going to accept your mail-in ballot if it's postmarked on Election Day, even if it arrives later, up to 17 days. But for some people, it's important to be reflected in that initial tally that's released shortly after the polls close. If that's important to you, the Registrar of Voters says you should probably vote in person or drop your ballot off at one of their centers rather than put it in the mail at this time.
All right, Devin Fehely, thank you so much.